People think they know why Michael Jackson built Neverland. They picture roller coasters, a private zoo, a fantasy kingdom hidden behind enormous gates. Most believe it was the dream of the richest entertainer on Earth. But what if Neverland was never about luxury? What if it wasn't built for visitors? Or for fame? But for one lonely child who spent his entire life trying to get his childhood back? To understand Neverland, we first have to forget Michael Jackson. Forget the superstar. Forget the king of pop. Go back to a small house in Gary, Indiana, where a little boy named Michael wasn't dreaming about becoming famous. He was simply dreaming about being a child. Most children spent their afternoons riding bicycles, climbing trees, or playing outside until sunset. Michael spent his learning dance routines, repeating songs, traveling from one performance to another, before he was old enough to understand the meaning of success. The world already knew his name. Success came unbelievably fast. Crowds screamed his name. Television cameras followed his every move. Adults admired him. Millions loved him. But behind every standing ovation, there was another birthday he never celebrated like an ordinary child. Another weekend spent working instead of playing. Years later, Michael would quietly admit something heartbreaking. He often watched children playing through hotel windows, wondering what it felt like to run freely without bodyguards, without rehearsals, without the pressure of carrying an entire family's future on your shoulders. That childhood never came back. People saw a global superstar. Michael saw something very different. A little boy who had grown older, but never truly grew up inside. Perhaps that's why, no matter how many records he broke, or how many stadiums he filled, one dream refused to disappear. The dream of having the childhood he never got to live. Many people believe Neverland was the beginning of Michael Jackson's fantasy. In reality, it was the end of a search that had lasted almost his entire life. By the late 1980s, Michael wasn't looking for another mansion. He was searching for something money could never buy: lost time. And when Michael finally found the perfect piece of land in California, he didn't ask architects to build the world's most luxurious estate. He asked them to build something far more impossible, a place where childhood could exist forever. That place would become known around the world as Neverland. In 1988, Michael Jackson purchased nearly 2,700 acres of land in California's Santa Ynez Valley. Most people saw another celebrity buying another luxury estate. But Michael never called it a mansion. He gave it a name that revealed everything: Neverland, the magical island from Peter Pan, where children never grow up. That wasn't a coincidence. It was a confession. Peter Pan had always fascinated Michael, not because he wanted to escape responsibility, but because Peter represented something Michael believed had been stolen from him: a childhood untouched by fame, a place where innocence could survive. Neverland wasn't inspired by fantasy alone. It was inspired by longing. Michael filled the ranch with things most adults would never build: a miniature railroad, a Ferris wheel, a carousel, a movie theater, gardens, lakes, a zoo with exotic animals. People looked at it and saw extravagance. Michael looked at it and saw the childhood he had spent decades imagining. Visitors often remembered something unusual. Michael didn't rush from attraction to attraction. He loved watching children laugh, watching families smile, watching moments he himself had rarely experienced growing up. For him, the joy wasn't in owning Neverland. It was in seeing happiness exist inside it. People sometimes asked why Neverland felt more like a theme park than a home. Maybe that's because it was never meant to feel like a home. Homes belong to adults. Neverland belonged to the child Michael never stopped carrying inside him. For years, Neverland became Michael's sanctuary. After exhausting tours, long recording sessions, and endless public appearances, he returned to a place where success didn't matter. Inside those gates, there were no headlines, no critics, only imagination. But here's the heartbreaking truth. You can build a world. You can fill it with beauty. You can spend millions creating happiness. Yet none of it can give you back the years that were taken away. Neverland could recreate childhood. It could never replace it. For a while, Neverland looked like a dream come true. But every dream has a moment when reality begins to break through. And for Michael Jackson, that moment would change Neverland forever. For years, Neverland represented everything Michael Jackson had spent his life searching for: peace, wonder, a place where the outside world couldn't reach him. But no dream stays untouched forever. Slowly, the world stopped looking at Neverland through Michael's eyes. It began looking through headlines instead. By the early 1990s, Michael Jackson had become more than the biggest entertainer on earth. He had become one of the most photographed people alive. Every visit, every friendship, every decision was analyzed by millions of strangers. Privacy slowly disappeared, and with it, so did the innocence Neverland was built to protect. Then came the allegations. Suddenly, the place Michael had built as a symbol of childhood was being described in a completely different way. Television cameras gathered outside the gates. Helicopters circled overhead. Reporters filled every broadcast. Almost overnight, Neverland stopped being a dream in the public imagination. Whether people defended Michael or questioned him, one fact is impossible to deny. The ranch itself was never seen the same way again. The laughter that once echoed through its gardens was replaced by cameras, headlines, and endless public debate. Years later, many visitors described Neverland as strangely quiet. The rides still stood. The train tracks remained. The buildings were still there. But something invisible had disappeared. The feeling that made the place feel alive. It was as if the dream itself had quietly packed its bags and left. Michael rarely spoke publicly about Neverland after those difficult years. But those closest to him often described how deeply attached he remained to the place. Because for Michael, Neverland wasn't just land. It was memory, hope, and perhaps the closest thing he ever had to home. People often ask, was Neverland a fantasy? Maybe, but fantasies usually hide a deeper truth. Children imagine magical worlds because reality isn't enough. Michael Jackson simply had the resources to build his imagination out of brick, steel, and thousands of acres of California hills. But if Neverland wasn't really about amusement rides, and it wasn't really about fame, then what was Michael truly searching for? The answer isn't hidden inside the ranch. It's hidden inside the man himself. And that's where our story ends. For decades, the world asked the wrong question. People wanted to know what Neverland was. A mansion? A theme park? A symbol of excess? But perhaps the better question is this: who was Neverland really built for? Because once you answer that, everything else begins to make sense. Michael Jackson once spoke openly about his childhood. He described missing birthday parties, missing school events, missing ordinary moments most children never think twice about. While other kids were discovering the world, Michael was performing for it. Success arrived early. Childhood never did. Psychologists often describe childhood as the place where we learn joy, safety, and belonging. When those experiences are interrupted, many people spend the rest of their lives trying to recover them. Sometimes through memories, sometimes through relationships, sometimes through places. Perhaps Neverland became Michael's way of rebuilding a world he felt he had lost. That's why Neverland wasn't designed like a luxury estate. It was designed like a child's imagination. Every train ride, every carousel, every movie night, every animal wandering the grounds reflected wonder instead of status. It was a place built around feelings, not possessions. Maybe that's why so many people still misunderstand Neverland. They see the attractions. Michael saw memories that never existed. They see entertainment. Michael saw lost time. The ranch wasn't trying to impress the world. It was trying to comfort one wounded heart. None of us can go back and change our childhood. Not Michael Jackson. Not you. Not me. But many of us spend our adult lives searching for something that reminds us of who we once were. For Michael, that search had a name: Neverland. This is why Neverland continues to fascinate people long after Michael Jackson's passing. Not because of its size, not because of its mystery, but because it forces us to ask a question that has nothing to do with celebrity. What part of ourselves are we still trying to heal? Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding wasn't about Neverland at all. Perhaps it was about Michael Jackson. People spent years trying to understand the place, when the real story had always been about the little boy who built it. And maybe that little boy never truly stopped searching for home. If you could ask Michael Jackson one question about Neverland, what would it be? Share your thoughts below.